Hello and welcome to another edition of Here's the Pitch. I'm your YouTube friend Brad, and thank you for coming here for all the Howard Stern content, much more being added all the time. That's why the channel's called ST Weekly, Stern Talk Weekly, but I'll be adding some new stuff into 2021, but today I'm going to release an interview that I did before COVID and before I started doing video interviews with these folks. And I think it's still fun to hear Stuttering John. So that's the interview you're going to hear today. It's brought to you, of course, by Masses Restaurants in St. Louis, 5 locations. stlmasses.com is their website for the menus and directions. If you're driving through St. Louis, where this podcast is based, you can go there and get some delicious food. Masses Restaurant, my title sponsor. So again, this is Stuttering John. I did this interview again pre-COVID, before I was doing all the video, and he was talking about writing a book about his time on The Tonight Show and The Howard Stern Show. So I asked right away, are you talking to Howard?
I guess we're okay, but, he's not going to like the book. And, it's not like, hey, I'm just going to call Howard, an a-hole, and that's it. It's not going to just, it's not, the motivation is not, okay, let's, write a book and bash Howard. But, look, it's going to be candid, and I can't not tell stories that happened that were true, that where Howard was not really, he wasn't the nicest guy. And there were things that he did that were kind of, they were kind of shady and wrong. And, I'm going to talk about them. It's not like, I know Jackie just had a book. I don't know how much he covered about it, but, Gary and I used to joke around and say that, that we were working for the firm, because, it was one of those things. It was just that it was, you didn't know what Howard you were going to get. And there are a lot of times where Howard would be, get angry at you and just lay into you and say horrible things. And, and even after I left, he would do the same thing and just the same, things that he used to say to me when I was there. And it's, there's only so much that you could take of that kind of, the verbal abuse before you start going, all right, I got to get out of here, and that's what happened to me is, I told what would be my wife as soon as, I started dating her. I said, I got to get out of here. And that was only 5 years into the Stern Show because I just, I didn't like to hear Howard tell me what a loser I was every day. After a while, you're just all right. It kind of starts, like eating at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We didn't use the robo-spanker on you, though, right? There's no #MeToo stuff coming, right? Or no? Maybe you did.
No. And there's also a lot of good things to say about him. The guy gave me my start. I'm grateful, to him for that. And we had a lot of fun. So it's, it's not, that's what I'm saying. It's not like, okay, I'm going to just, call Howard an a-hole and that's it. It's everyone's flawed. I'm flawed. And, and so is Howard. And, and I'll address those things.
I'm going to buy the book. You've just sold it. Thank you. I think the thing that I thought when I was watching this, I grew up watching you guys. I grew up listening to you guys. And I always felt like he would literally come off the air and go, oh, that was just on the air, right? And he'd even say that. This is just my personality on the air. But you could tell it's like, how much can you be called Baba Booey or told that your teeth are too big or told you're a stutter? Like you said, it's the stuttering thing. Before you just say, this is terrible. This isn't fun.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm so sorry that you're yawning. It's like contagious. As soon as I start yawning, I'm like, it has nothing to do with you, Brad.
Yeah, I thought I put you to sleep. This would be a first. Usually,
No. And as far as I can speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure Gary would agree. It wasn't the Baba Booey stuff. It wasn't. He didn't. Gary doesn't care about that. It's more of the you're a loser, you're worthless, you know what I mean? The only reason, you can't ever get a job anywhere else. You don't have any talent, and just like saying stuff like that is just, I mean, look, the guy told me to abort my first kid because I wasn't fit to be a dad while my wife was like 6-7 months pregnant. And it wasn't like after the show he'd come up to you and say that he was just kidding. He never did that.
But that's what's crazy. As a listener, you kind of take you guys as characters, and you just kind of laugh as we're listening. We're like, oh yeah, Stuttering John, and board is but you forget you guys are not characters. You're actually really real people.
Yeah, and like
you're not Beetlejuice.
No, and I didn't care about Howard goofing on my stutter or anything like that. There are a lot of things I really didn't care, but it was just the things where, like, there was one time, I didn't agree with him on something, and he said, if I don't say he's right and I'm wrong, then I'm fired. It's almost like you're kind of bullied in a way where you just, he's the boss, and the hard part is that you looked up to him, like for me, I was a huge fan of his, so, like I looked up to him at the same time. So it's like, and I was beaten up by my dad, and now it just seemed like I walked into a shop where it was the same kind of behavior, although Howard never hit anybody, but you just got beaten up on the air, and it didn't exactly help your esteem.
No, and that's funny. I'm just thinking back about how I used to listen. Like I said, listen to this thing every day. Have plenty of recordings of old, and it as I think back about it, it is abusive. It totally is. But you don't think about that. You're just kind of laughing. He doesn't abuse Robin, but then Fred and Gary and Artie and Jackie, you guys just literally just had to take it because this is fun. It's like we're just having fun here, but we can't really say anything back.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and then there were times I was just in El Paso doing stand up, and there was a guy who showed me a tape of where he was fighting. There was a time where I did fight Howard back, and I'm like, really? And he played it for me. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, holy crap! I actually did go head to head with him sometimes, but it didn't matter. Like, it's just. He's got to understand he's the one in the power position. He's the boss. So at the end of the day, he has to win because, if we, God forbid, we won, we'd be out of a job. And that's how it seems, so it's just one of those things. I mean, if that was going on today, I'm sure it would be called out, because it would definitely sound like his people were being bullied. You know what I mean?
You would AJ Benza him.
Yeah. I recently, became friends with AJ. He came on my podcast and he asked me to slap him so it would be even, and I was like. Unwilling to do it. He's like, John, just do it and do it hard because, I deserve it. So I did, and I slapped one in the face, and I guess now we're even, and AJ and I are friends.
Well, I'm sad about that. I like that you kind of took it. I always wondered about how, I never really tried to call in, but maybe once or twice. I'm like, all right, I'm going to call in. How did people get through? You always had your whack packers getting through, which was obviously did they have a special number? But how would
I was hearing calls all the time. You get through if you said something interesting or something like against somebody on the show, or and then if you wanted to kiss Howard's ass, sometimes I put that through because there's a chance he picked that up, and then I would get a lot of the whack packers on the phone. So I put it this way, Jeff the Drunk, I would put on hold and type it into Howard's computer, and for 9 months I would say, 9, as Gary would say, I would tell Howard, you should pick this guy up, he's great. And Howard would never pick him up, and finally he picked him up. and that guy became a huge, star of the Whack Pack, drunk. But I mean, I'd find these guys all the time. It was like, I'd call it, I was fishing for humans,
You mentioned Gary, and I guess he's still there, right? I mean, it's amazing. How often do you talk to Gary? And I got to say, man, that pitch against the Mets that in 2009, he deserved everything he got that day because that was so miserable. I know it's terrible that we're talking about making fun of a human being, but man, Artie and Howard and anyone who called, that was incredibly. I got to say, that's probably when I stopped listening was when Artie left. But man, that was a funny day on the show. But
oh God, I mean that's one of my regrets is that I left before that happened because I would have loved to have been there during that. I mean, see, that's what I mean. Like, goofing on something like that, that's harmless. I mean, that's something you did, and that. I mean, I would love those moments. Goofing on Gary was one of my favorite pastimes. I mean, that's why I said I don't mind being goofed on. It wasn't. I mean, just so we get, just so it's clear, I don't mind. Getting called hero and stupid and all that stuff. I don't mind that. It's just when it becomes like personal, but like that's when it bothers me. But yeah, I mean, as far as that pitch, I mean, he threw it into right field. I mean, and I can just imagine his kids were there, and oh God, it's just typical Baba Booey.
Oh, and the stupid tape. Why would he? I mean, $25,000 was not worth that to give that tape up. His personal life's annoying.
Yeah, annoying. Yeah, like in my book, I have his chapter is the good, the bad, and the bully, and it's chapter 9. And I'm gonna try and make it so it will land on it. It'll be chapter 9. But yeah, I mean, Gary. Put it this way, I mean, that's why like people like they like say Gary has a great memory. He doesn't have a great memory. I mean, he might have a great memory for bands, like he's like a music, he's an idiot savant, like, without the savant.
Like Hank the Angry Dwarf.
But, yeah, I mean, but, put it this way, if he has such a great memory, I mean, the guy collected animation cells and he couldn't remember what his favorite character was. I mean, come on.
But this is why I really wanted to talk to you. I love that show and that dynamic because you guys, you just stole his puppet and then he told you were fired. These practical jokes are the meanest things you could possibly do to people. And Howard's just sitting there conducting, watching you guys go at each other. That's
the thing. I mean, and again, like, I mean, it was my idea to steal the puppet. I mean, it was very simple. We were in the studio, and Gary was going to bring the puppet to an appearance in Jersey, and then Jackie was like, "Hey, Howard, maybe we can rig it that the puppet breaks." And I said, "No, guys, I'll just steal it." And then Howard said, "John, do you think you can pull that off?" I go, "Yeah, I definitely can pull it off." And I did. I showed up a little early. I talked to the owner. I said, when at some point, just like take Gary, at like 1:10 in the afternoon, like take Gary for a tour of your place, and I'm going to send somebody in there to snatch it. And I did, and then we got in the car and took off, and then Howard and I were on the phone the whole weekend. This is where Howard and I, started to bond, and we were laughing our ass off. And then Gary would call me and go, "John, just be honest, did you take the puppet? I'm freaking out here." And I was like, "God, no, I'm here with my girlfriend. Of course I didn't." And then I call Howard back, and we laugh another freaking half hour about how Gary was sweating his ass off about it.
That's what's that actually led to my buddy stealing my bike, and they kept it for six months, and then rode it past me. And they were just laughing hysterically. I found no humor in it whatsoever, but they literally did it because of that prank. And they just said, "Hey, Gary puppet." That's all they said to me. And I was like, that's not funny. Didn't find it funny.
Wait a second. First of all, 6 months is cruel. And second of all, is it a bicycle or a motorcycle?
It was like a $500, Trek mountain bike. But it was like I bought it for the summer. I'd never had a bike, and they just stole it, so... But I love it. I'm enjoying just look. I mean, these are making me laugh thinking about these. You did the interviews, so you do Billy Crystal and Walter Cronkite. I mean, you had to love. Did you love that? I mean, did you get to interview some of these big names, yet you got to stutter in their face and ask the most ridiculous questions? I'm trying to decide if that's great or terrible or a bunch of both. I mean, as you look back, do you think, man, that was funny just asking Tommy Lasorda to catch every part in your face?
It's. I'm telling you, when I heard, the guy before me, his name was Mitch, and he was a friend of mine at NYU. And when I heard him doing it, I'm like, wow, I could do that, because all my life I've, put it this way, and this was in Howard's book, it's in mine too. But in my 5th grade report card, the teacher wrote to my mother, John tends to ask outrageous and penetrating questions in class and stutters when excited. That was, she literally wrote my resume for Howard Stern. And I was always asking crazy questions. I never had a problem with it. So this was like the perfect job for me. And, I liked it. I thought it was like a great comedy bit, like an SNL thing. And, and although there was some where I felt bad, and then, but for the most part, it was hysterical hearing Cronkite scold me because I used the term,
friggin'.
I said, yeah, friggin'. And he scolded me for like 10 minutes on what's going on with me. Florida State, to use a word like friggin', and I'm just like, it was great. It was gold. It was
Uncle Walter.
What's that?
Uncle Walter is scolding Stuttering John. What world are we in?
Totally fucking. It was just awesome. these people. It was amazing how these people really didn't get the joke at all.
Until Billy.
I talk about the interviews on stage, and I talk about a lot of that stuff. I'm going to be at Hey Guys. Let me ask you. I used to play the Funny Bone in St. Louis. Did Hey Guys become, did they take that over or something?
So the Funny Bone is still in St. Louis proper, so it's on the actual other side of the river in St. Louis. The Funny Bone, there used to be another Funny Bone in Illinois, but now that is gone, and Hey Guys is there, and Hey Guys...
I know, but wasn't the Funny Bone that was in Illinois, wasn't that in Fairview Heights as well?
It was, yes, and it's closed down, and I think it's like a Noah's Ark.
So it wasn't the same place. It wasn't the same place.
No, I think it's you're going to be like it. I've gone to Hey Guys. I've seen Kevin Farley and Dustin Diamond there, so you're following some great company, and it's a fun place. You'll like the room. It's usually packed. They make very stiff drinks, so the people will enjoy that. But yeah, so you're on stage. That's what you talk about. Huh? You kind of going to run through the career a little bit.
Well, yeah, I talk about stuttering, and I talk about the interviews, and I talk about my personal life, and everything from the Kardashians to the Tonight Show. It's like I cover everything. So and it's I talk about marriage and childbirth and children and everything. It's actually it's a fun show, and I've been doing this now for 18 years. I started out as a host, and then I got myself up to a middler, and then I finally became a headliner. So it's been a long thing, and I've worked hard at it, and I think you'll see. When you see me, you'll be pretty surprised.
Yeah, all weekend at Hey Guys Comedy Club this weekend. It's going to be great. So you've lost the stutter, so I think most people know what you got a vocal coach when you went to the Tonight Show. How did we kind of want to hear this stutter a little bit, John?
Yeah, some people would get angry at me on when they would come to my comedy shows and I didn't stutter, they get pissed off. But I do stutter occasionally, and even during this interview, I could say you helped me on the Cronkite where the F. I can't say it right now.
Friggin'.
Yeah, friggin'. See, I stutter a little bit. There was some consonants that I had a problem with, like when I was trying to say, Mitch, my friend that I want to use, the M's are very difficult I mean, so I do stutter. I become a master at like knowing the tricks and how to hide it, and I'm a walking thesaurus. If I can't say great, I'll say, amazing. I'll say anything, just whatever is easier, like it, without even skipping a beat. So I've become pretty damn good at it, and it's funny because I had to teach myself all these tricks, and then I saw that movie, The King's Speech, and they knew those tricks freaking 100 years ago. I mean, like, where the hell were these speech therapists, when I was going to school?
I think it's more tired John instead of stuttering John these days, it sounds like.
Yeah, right.
Just
yawning John.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I had 2 small strokes, so they put me on. I know it's because I'm so like I can't believe that it would happen, but I guess because I have had like really high cholesterol and high blood pressure, so they put me on all this medication. So, that's why I just get tired, easy, which is. But hey, if it keeps me alive,
I'm glad I made fun of it. That's a great host.
Yeah.
So just a couple more minutes here I did want to ask you about being on the Tonight Show and just kind of that job and working with Jay Leno. I know people who didn't listen to Howard saw you on there, and just tell me a little bit about what it was like to just literally go from being on this incredibly anti-PC show to being on the Tonight Show. That was the franchise, and being their announcer and doing kind of the stuff. And was Jay trying to piss Howard off by taking you, or did he say, hey, I liked what I saw when he was on the show? Tell me a little bit about that battle, because man, Howard still hates him.
See, the real story of it is that a segment producer who was there, Dave Berg, had he was watching me on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And he was the one who thought, wow, this guy would be great, on our show. And then he had the executive producer, Debbie, watch, and they really liked me on that show. And then they booked me as a guest on the Tonight Show, and I was a guest. And, I made everyone laugh, and I did, a good job. I did a good appearance, and after the segment, the executive producer and head writer offered me a job. And initially it was just as a correspondent, and I had to turn it down because, I talked to Gary and I talked to Robin, and, I tried talking to Howard about it, and he refused to talk to me. So I turned that down twice, which just killed me because, I went to NYU, I majored in film and television. I mean, it's my dream to be on a freaking, a television show of that stature. And I turned it down, and this is what the weird thing is. It's like I'm turning this down. Meanwhile, I'm on the air with Howard, and he's telling me that nobody wants me, and I'm a loser, But then finally, the head writer, actually, him and his wife, they come up with the idea of maybe being the announcer because they weren't thrilled with the announcer then they had, and then it was enough money for me to leave. So it wasn't Jay's. It wasn't like Jay had anything to do with the decision process. It was more of the executive producer and the head writer. Jay was asked, and he said, fine, because Jay liked me. And when the time came, Jay asked me, hey, do you want me to, call Howard? And I said, no, I should tell him. I thought that it would be proper since, Howard gave me my start. I owed him that. And then Howard went off, for years on Jay, and Jay really didn't do anything. It wasn't, he tried to do everything right. And, what was, and it's so weird. So many people move jobs. Look at, Strahan, he goes from Kelly and Michael to Good Morning America. People leave jobs all the time. I don't know why it would be such a big deal, and unfathomable that I would leave, And it's like, even with that, again, I call Howard a hypocrite because, he left K-Rock to go to, to go to Sirius. Why is it okay for him to leave things, but it ain't okay for me?
It's very interesting. The more you talk about it, yeah, it's but no one can leave, which is crazy. But
well, yeah, you tell me one person, me, Jackie, Grillo, You tell me one person who's left and is actually on good terms now. I mean, we're all banned from the show. I mean, and even Gary, if Gary talks to me, he swears me to secrecy because he's afraid, because they're not even allowed to talk to us. Their staff now is not allowed to talk to us. And it's like, I'll put it this way. They have a writer there now who I helped get the job. And he was a writer's assistant on The Tonight Show. And he was a friend of mine. And I helped get him a job there. And he came out to LA and he visited all his friends, and he would not even visit me because he was afraid to hang out with me, that he would, that he'd get in trouble with Howard.
Sounds like a concentration camp up there at Sirius. I don't know what's going on.
No, it's a real sick place. I mean, I've spoken to, I've done extensive, believe it or not, I have a lot of research on what goes on there now and what Howard has become, and I mentioned it in the book. It's sad in a way. He's become everything that he once goofed on. He's become everything that he once loathed. I mean, and it's just sad to see the transformation. I mean, some of it is good because he's making up with all the people that, and there's another hypocrisy. He's making up with all these celebs like, Rosie O'Donnell and all these celebrities that he once trashed, Jennifer Aniston, but yet he won't make up with us. He won't make up with the Stuttering John and Jackie the Joke Mans who helped him in like, it's not like, look, he gave me my start. He certainly helped me, but nobody's going to tell me I didn't help him by, doing the interviews and being, the Esther and, doing stunts like stealing like Gary Puppet. I helped him with some damn good radio. There's a stutter. I wanted to give you one so you didn't think I was a fraud.
That was good. Well, when you left, it was an end of an era, and it's sad. And I did listen while Artie was there. How's Artie? You talked to Artie at all, just real quick?
Artie and I have had and this goes to be the same with a lot of people. I mean, even if like my friend pointed out, if you Google Artie and Howard, it'll be like one day Artie loves Howard, the next day Artie's saying Howard's the biggest piece of ass, going. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, which is why I'm not cursing.
Yeah, curse away, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so like Artie goes from like, and that's how it was with me. I mean, Artie will be like, I love John. John's great. And then the next day, John's an idiot, and he just goes back and forth. And quite frankly, I'm just over it. I don't even, as soon as he got on the Cumia show, I knew he was going to corrupt Anthony because I was on Anthony's show so many times, and we had such a blast. And the producers and everyone told me how well we were together, and Anthony knew how well we were. But as soon as Artie gets there, it just becomes the Trash John hour, and that seems to be all they do now. So I don't really talk to Artie. I wish him well. I don't know how much longer he's got on this planet, but I don't hate the guy. I just I don't talk to him now, and he's a troubled guy. He's got a drug problem. I mean, I do his podcast and, do Anthony's show, and Artie's nose is bleeding from, snorting heroin. So, I mean, the guy is on a death wish. So, you got to feel bad for him that, that he hates his life that much, that he's got to, do drugs and, I don't know, literally try and kill himself. That's what he's doing. And he's doing it in front of people's, so people can sit and watch him. Like, I won't watch Anthony's show because I don't want to watch Artie die, and that's just what it is Artie, he's like talking in the nasally and his big nose from all the heroin that he's snorting. It's just, I mean, the guy's trying to kill himself. I mean, and it's sad that he doesn't have some good friends out there to just intervene. But I guess he just doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, what an uplifting way to end the show here today.
I'm sorry.
No.
Look, I'll say Artie's one of the funniest guys I've ever met, and Artie and I had some great times together, and we had some great times on the air. And he became my best friend on the show, and he was the one who I confided in before anybody that I was leaving the Stern Show to go to the Tonight Show. And just to give you I'll give you a funny story. Artie knew that I was leaving the Stern Show in March, and I had come up with this bet with Artie that he couldn't hit a fastball thrown by a female softball pitcher. So that was going to happen in Vegas in April, and now, Artie knew I'd be out of there in March, and we had $1,000 bet. So while we were talking about the bet on the air, Artie starts going, John, put the 1,000 on the table, put it on Howard's desk now, put it on his desk now. And I'm like, why? And Howard's like, why, Artie? If John loses, he'll pay you in Vegas. And Artie's like, no, just tell him to put it on the desk now, because Artie knew I wasn't going to be there with him in Vegas.
I'll have to go back and listen to that. I also...
Yeah, it's so funny. And I knew why Artie was doing it, but Howard had no clue. And it's hysterical. But that's the kind of thing, like, Artie and I really had so much fun on the air. But I'll tell you this, if any fan wants to watch literally my favorite hour on the Stern Show, and that involves Artie, it's me and Artie, and it's after we got back from, I think, Columbus, Ohio, doing stand-up, and I go over, the first half hour is me going over what Artie ordered at the Steak and Shake drive-thru. It was literally like freaking half the menu. And I goof on Artie for a while, but then I talk about how I drank orange juice and there were maggots in it. and I start like going to throw up and making those noises that you do before you drop. Artie then immediately thinks I'm trying to get a lawsuit against Tropicana, and he starts goofing on me. And it literally, after the hour, Scott DePace, the director, pulled me aside after I got out of the studio and went, John, that is in my top 10 of funniest hours ever on the Stern Show. So if you want to Google it, just Google Stuttering John Artie, orange juice and maggots. And I'm telling you, if you YouTube it, it is the funniest hour that you'll hear. I'm telling you.
I can do Artie what he was doing. He goes, that Continental Airlines. It was funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, it was
exactly. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, totally. Like I said, I was 98 through about 2009. I was a loyalist, so I had these things playing. When you guys were off, I'm like, all right, let's go find another. Let's find an old clip to listen to. So yeah, I mean, you guys made me laugh nonstop.
Yeah, are you going to come to the show and at Hey Guys?
Definitely going to get over there. Try to get over there. I think the Saturday night one sounds like it's going to be a blast.
Well, look, if you come to the late show on Saturday night, then we'll hang after, and I can tell you some more inside stuff with Artie and I about things that we would do on the air that nobody knew, that like our little things that we would do, that we were really, it was just a funny, we really had a good time on the air together.
I'm going to now make that a point to find you. I had so much fun. I did the last thing. It says U.S. Senate. You're running for the U.S. Senate. Is this true?
It was a goof, and then I started seriously thinking about it. But I'm not. I mean, Artie, ran away with it, and just. But it started out as a goof. Then I started thinking about it, but no, I'm not doing it.
Right.
And it would have. Come on, it would be funny. Like. If you thought if you thought that Ted Cruz had a long filibuster, imagine mine.
That's filibuster, right?
Exactly. It take me 10 minutes just to say filibuster.
You guys had Mary Carey ran for governor, so I guess Stuttering John for Senate.
Well, now Sex and the City's Cynthia Nixon is running in New York.
Yeah, anybody can run. It's crazy.
Yeah, now The Rock is going to run for president. Oprah might run for president. I mean, Trump has opened the. Now everybody, just wants to run. So, but no, I'm too busy with the book, and I'm up to 335 pages now, and I know we're probably going to have to get it down to 300, but I'm not even done yet. I handed in at the end of March, and it comes out October 16th. So there you go. Great, just in time for Christmas.
I'll be reading that, and everybody in St. Louis should go see Stuttering John at Hey Guys. I laughed more on this podcast than I have in a long time, so this was fun just catching up. And I think I'm going to see you on Saturday night. We're going to have some fun, and I definitely want to hear some more stories because I love this stuff. And like I said, I can quote stuff that you guys have done. I remember all of it, so that's what's funny is to kind of hear the behind the scenes stuff.
I'm flattered that you listened, and St. Louis has been very good to me. Like I said, I've done stand-up there a bunch of times. So hopefully you guys will come out and see me. Oh, and you can follow me on Twitter at Stuttering John M, or go to my website, stutteringjohnmelendez.com, just to see where I'm performing. And thank you, Brad, so much for having me on.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, John.